Moving on to the glossary section from the economic survey. Now, taper tantrum. It refers to a period of financial market volatility that occurred in 2013 following an announcement by the US Federal Reserve that it would begin scaling back or tapering its quantitative easing program. Monetary tightening, when the central government takes action to reduce the money supply and increase interest rates in order to slow down inflation or stabilize the economy. Sovereign bond yields. Sovereign bond yields refers to the interest rate paid by government on their bonds. These bonds are issued by the government to finance their spending and are considered to be amongst the safest investments. Now, stagflation. Stagflation is a macroeconomic condition characterized by a combination of stagnant economic growth and high inflation. Fiscal stimulus refers to the use of government spending and taxation policies to increase economic activity and boost economic growth. Pent up demand, it refers to a situation in which consumers have delayed or deferred purchase or consumption due to various reasons such as economic uncertainty, social restrictions, or personal circumstances. Once these factors subside, there is a sudden release of demand for goods. Import licensing. Import licensing is a type of trade restriction implemented by government to regulate the inflow of foreign goods and services into a country. Public goods. Public goods are goods or services that are non excludable or non rivalrous in consumption, meaning that they can be consumed by anyone and their consumption by one person do not reduce the amount available for others. Credit provisioning. It refers to the practice of setting aside a certain amount of money to cover potential losses that may arise from loans that are extended by a financial institution. Fiscal deficit. Difference between the total revenue minus borrowing and the total expenditure. Overheating of the economy. Overheating is when the economy reaches the limits of its capacity to meet all the demands from individual firms and governments. Barbell strategy. It is a strategy that uses a combination of safety nets that are put in place for vulnerable section and real-time information-based policy adjustments is used to tackle challenges that come forth. Fiscal glide path the government takes to fulfill the fiscal deficit targets. Tax buoyancy measures the change in tax revenue with change in national income. Non-tax revenue includes interest receipts on loans, dividends from PSU, external grants, receipt for services the government provides, counter-cyclical fiscal policy, steps taken by government to go against the direction of the business cycle. CapEx, capital expenditure incurred by the government. Effective capital expenditure that generates a positive return on investment over the useful life of an asset. Monetary Policy Committee, six-member committee to determine the policy repo rate required to meet at least 4 times in a year. Money multiplier, it measures how an increase in the monetary base causes the money supply to increase by a multiplied amount. Monetary policy transmission, it's the process by which changes in a central bank's monetary policy actions such as interest rate adjustments are transmitted through financial systems to affect the economy. State development loans, dated government securities issued by state governments. India Volatility index based on Nifty index option price to calculate the expected market volatility over the next 30 calendar days. Market price at which property would sell for an open market. Assessed price, value assigned to home or other retail estates for property or tax purposes. National list of essential medicines, list of medicines which are under price ceiling of fixed prices. These are, I think, issued under drug order under the Essential Commodities Act. Moving on, National Career Service Project, a one-stop solution providing an array of employment and career-related services. Green bonds. Green bonds are financial instruments that generate receipts for investment in environmentally sustainable and climate-suitable projects. Critical minerals. It includes cobalt, copper, lithium, nickel, and rare earth elements that are critical for producing electric vehicles and batteries and harnessing solar power and wind energy. Agricultural Infrastructure Fund. It is a financing facility operational from the year 2020-21 to 2032-33 for the creation of post-harvest management infrastructure and community farm assets. Multiplier effect. The multiplier effect is a macroeconomic concept that refers to the magnification of initial impact of a change in spending or investment. Modified interest subvention scheme to provide short-term credit to farmers at subsidized interest rates. Farmers Producers Organization are a form of farmer-owned and farm-led institutions that aim to create economies of scale for small and marginal farmers, enable better access to markets, and provide technical and financial support to farmers. Zero budget natural farming. Zero budget natural farming is an agricultural practice that aims to eliminate external inputs like chemical fertilizers and instead relies on natural farming. ENAM scheme, National Agricultural Market, it was launched to create an online, transparent, competitive bidding system to ensure farmers get remunerative prices for their produce. Employment elasticity, it refers to the responsiveness of government employment to changes in economic growth. It is a measure of percentage change in employment that results from 1% change in GDP. Crowding in private investment, it refers to the situation in which government spendings or policies stimulate private investment by creating favorable economic condition or reducing risk for private investors. Gross fixed capital formation, it refers to the total value of investment in fixed assets such as buildings, machinery, equipment made by businesses, households, and government during a specific period. Flipping, it's a process of transferring entire ownership of an Indian company to an overseas entity, accompanied by a transfer of all IP and data hitherto owned by the Indian company. Co-lending model, it aims to leverage the liquidity base of a bank and reach of housing finance companies to deliver formal housing credits to the bottom of the pyramid. Gross merchandise value. Gross merchandise value is a term used in e-commerce and retail industries to describe the total value of merchandise sold through a platform or marketplace in a specific period of time. Central bank digital currency is a digital form of currency notes issued by central banks. Account aggregators, it is a non-banking financial company engaged in business of providing services or retrieving or collecting financial information pertaining to customers. National E-Governance Services Limited, it is an information utility registered with and regulated by Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India under the aegis of IBC, that is Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code of Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code of 2016. FTAs or RTAs, that is regional trade agreements, these are economic instruments available to a country for leveraging its competencies in trade and investment. IIP, that is International Investment Position, the purpose is that it is a statistical statement that shows at a point in time the value and composition of financial assets and liabilities of residents of an economy to non-residents. Debt to GDP ratio. The debt to GDP ratio is a measure that compares a country's total government debts to its total economic output as represented by its GDP. Sovereign external debt, it refers to the amount of money a government owes to foreign creditors, including individual businesses and countries. Viability gap funding, launched by Department of Economic Affairs in 2006. Under this scheme, economic sector projects may get up to 40% of their capital expenditure as viability gap funding. National Infrastructure Pipeline, it aims at projected infrastructure investment of around 111 lakh crores during FY 2025 to provide high quality infrastructure across the country. National Monetization Pipeline 2021, it provides opportunity for deleveraging balance sheets and providing fiscal space for investment in new infrastructure assets. That'll be it for it.